I'm just a soul whose intentions are good. Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood. Hello and welcome to the Misunderstood podcast. I am Cy Hansen. Grateful to be joined by the man behind the smoke and mirrors, Mr. Wizard of Oz himself, Sir Justin Teen Bartholomew Constantinople Webb the 13th. Welcome to the show, sir.
What's up, peeps?
How you doing tonight?
How's it going, man?
Good, good. And also, right off the bat, I wanted you to go ahead and plug your Twitch for all those Twitch streamers out there. You can find Justin out there. Go ahead and plug that, J Webb.
Oh, it's just twitch.tv/reflecting glory. Started about 10 months ago. I built a rig at home and stopped for a little while. Now I'm getting back into it. So yeah, it's twitch.tv/reflecting glory. I'm going to start doing some content on there if you guys want to check me out. So thanks, Cy.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, check them out. And that
Sweet.
the link for that Twitch will be in the show description for those of you who are interested. So yeah, check them out, man. All right, so today we're gonna before we dive into our main topic, there's been this internet trend going around where people are having the discussion: could 100 men beat one gorilla? It's going around, so I figured, why not? Let's go ahead and give our little our opinion on that. And Justin, you had a opinion. What do you think?
Off the top, bro, I don't. Off the top, I don't think so. I just don't. I don't know. I don't think so. It would depend on like. So let's picture right now 100 men on a gorilla. I mean, I think they might be able to hold it down, but I don't know. It all depends.
Right.
It all depends on the sheer like strength and the power of will inside the gorilla, I guess. Maybe some, but I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, and are we talking like 100 UFC fighters? Because then, I mean, you're gonna, and obviously there's gonna be mass casualties, right? It's like, okay, that's the reason why the number is at 100, because like 10, 20, 30, 40 of them people are going to die just by sheer getting smacked, or who knows what the gorilla is going to do. But listening to this debate and this discussion, I've heard that gorillas are actually kind of like, they don't have great stamina. Like they're very big, very strong, very powerful. Like one gorilla is as strong as 10 men, right? So, but they're also not really fighters per se. Gorillas, when they do the chest pumping, that's more of just like a scare off tactic. They're not really actual like combat animals. That's why, like, if a grizzly bear and a gorilla fought, I'm taking the grizzly bear, because a grizzly bear, its sole purpose in life is to tear shit up, and gorillas are more of like, they're actually more of a docile animal than you would really think. I mean, granted, I never want to, come upon one, but I feel more comfortable like, hey, Mr. Gorilla, we can be buddies, than like a grizzly bear. The grizzly bear is gonna be like, yeah, cool, we'll be buddies, and then I'm gonna eat you.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it depends upon who the men are. If you just took your average like IT company and sent those dudes out there, they're all getting slaughtered. All of them. If you don't have some strength or some kind of combat skills or something, you're getting slaughtered. But if we're sending like the top 100 badass dudes in the world, I think they could take him. I think they could do it.
It was funny because Mr. Beast like put up a thing and he's like, "Hey guys, I need people to try this out." Or he put something on Twitter. It was like 100 men versus a gorilla. As far as legalities and stuff, they probably couldn't do it, but
like actually do it.
I don't even think, dude. I don't even. Yeah, I don't. It says that like gorillas are stronger than humans. Obviously, an adult gorilla is 4 to 9 times stronger than an average human. Gorillas can easily tear down banana trees and bend the iron bar of a cage. Iron bars. Think about it. You'd break all your fingers, your arms, your hands, everything. The strength of a gorilla, its bite is 1,300 psi. It says a silver gorilla can lift up to 1,800 pounds of dead weight. 1,800. And its strength is about 10 times their weight. So it's 10 times their weight. It'd be a lot of broken bones. I don't think it could happen. I don't know. That's pretty crazy though.
When you put it that way, because like even when they're tired, like even if they do get tired out, like, they're still gonna
But dude,
Animal
it,
instinct.
people bringing up stuff today, it's just like funny. It's just like the whole like dishwasher packs with the kids like doing the dare where they eat the dishwasher packs. It's like it's just funny. It's like these things like people get bored or something, or they come up with this stuff. It's cool, but I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
the gorilla one's better. The gorilla with the gorilla with the 100 grown men. That's I want to see like a what do you call it, like a thing ran like an not an emulator but like a
A
what do you call it,
simulation of what would
like
happen.
a simulation thingy where they run it, yeah. but but I was curious about that because there were like some scientists that posted some stuff that I didn't get a chance to, maybe we didn't get a chance to look into, but just talking about physics and the relativity and all that stuff about it.
Yeah, no, this was just kind of a last minute thing that I'd brought up and thought it'd be.
Yeah,
It's just I don't know. It's like okay, maybe like if it's John Bone Jones out there and like I don't know. Let's throw Mike Tyson out there, give him some good whacks. I don't know.
right.
We'll see. I mean, I guess no, we probably won't see, but I don't know. It's just an interesting little tidbit.
Should I pull like something like with that up, you think? Or
What do you got? You got
well,
anything interesting?
let me see something. I'm gonna see.
I'm gonna look something up here. And those of you watching right off the bat, go ahead and in the comment section of this YouTube broadcast and let us know what you think. We're interested to see. I think I know where most people lie, but you never know. People get cocky. All right, here we are.
This is from Men's Journal. Could 100 men beat a gorilla? Experts break down the viral debate. The internet's wildest hypothetical just met cold hard science, and it's not looking good for the bros. Look at this. Huh.
Looking good for the bros. All right, what are they saying?
The internet recently revived an unusual debate. Could 100 average men take down a single silverback gorilla in hand to hand combat? What began as a viral question on X and TikTok quickly turned into a full scale meme event with users imagining every possible outcome, like we were, from tactical human strategies to full gorilla domination. Despite the absurdity, several scientists stepped in to offer some insight.
Okay.
And then it says here, conservationist and Zoo Miami communications director made it clear to Rolling Stone that he doesn't support the scenario, obviously, like we were talking, but offered a theoretical breakdown. It could be a kamikaze mission for the men closest to the gorilla.
Right.
Hmm.
So they're like,
That is
well,
crazy.
we don't want to try this, but just in case, I'm sure it's probably happened in life. You know what I mean? Like,
I wonder how people came up with this. That's funny.
it's probably, I mean, I'm sure like it's probably actually happened. Maybe it's been less than 100. Maybe that's why they're like, well, 40 ain't going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there's been a time in somewhere in the Congo or whatever the hell that, you know, there was a gorilla and dudes were like, hey, let's take him. And then King Kong did his thing, and that's where the legend
I
began.
mean, it's 100. It's 100 people. It's like yes and no. I mean, it's like possibly it could. I mean, because I think the thing would just be pinned down from the sheer weight of everybody, But it's like, who knows? It's
Yeah, okay,
I
because like
don't.
yeah, that's the thing. Like eventually, like if you all just like smothered it, but like, what if like the first however many people, let's say you're in a room or wherever you are, and that gorilla's like, okay, I'm feeling attacked. I'm just gonna whack them all, as many of you MFers as I possibly can, and he's just doing his thing. People are gonna go flying,
Yep.
and them dudes who don't get hit are they gonna be like, well, I have no choice. You're gonna have to be locked in a room with this gorilla in a cage because you have to be. That can't because then the fight or flight's gonna kick in human. Like you're gonna be like, all
Yeah,
right,
for sure.
through this. Like
Yeah.
I'm not getting pummeled by this gorilla. I just saw 35 of my homies just get mauled. I'm out of here, man. Sorry.
You know, it's funny. What's like kind of related to that was like when it was that movie, and it had to do with the chimps or whatever. Oh, the Chimp Empire. Have you seen that?
Oh, Planet of the Apes.
No, no, no. It was Chimp Empire. It was a documentary that was recently on
Oh yeah,
Netflix.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Dude, you did see that then?
yeah, yeah.
That's
It's
crazy
good.
because they it's just like they travel like the way they do it is like they just travel through the wood line and then they're deep in the woods and they get a sense of it's either fight or flight. They actually are like number one, are we going to advance? And then number two, we either run. So it's either fight or run. And the thing is, they assess like from the sounds of like the forest around them, and they know where their borders are. Unlike us humans, where it has no trespassing sign and has this and that. Like we you know, what I mean, they have
Yeah.
this like just this organic line that's just there where they know if they should cross or not. But yeah,
When you, I mean, I think maybe the conversation should start at like 100 men versus a chimpanzee because them they are crazy strong. And like
I don't.
you watch that like, and they're ruthless. They're probably more ruthless than gorillas actually are. To be honest, like you
I
seen
think they
one
take the
where,
chimp down.
yeah, and they're like tearing him apart while he's still alive and all that. It's like, damn,
Yep,
that is wicked, wicked.
definitely take them down for sure.
You know, just the agility and the quickness and the strength. It's like I don't know, man. And they got them teeth. They got canines. Like, what are you doing? I don't. I don't want to fight no monkeys, man.
I was gonna look in. I was gonna look up something here.
Well, do your thing.
Put this on this side. Boom, 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 boom. We should just look at some photos of some of these beasts.
Some of the silverbacks.
Just some of these. Get a look see at some of these guys
See if you want to fight them.
because you can just the sheer dominance and everything, and it's just crazy. Gosh, look at these bad boys.
Yeah, I'm good.
Ah, just sheer
Um,
like
I'm
that's
good.
crazy.
Shit, dude.
King of the forest, right there, man.
Yeah,
Just making a natural statement.
yeah. Take me off that calling list. I'm not.
Keeper of the land, right there. Isn't that a beautiful photo, though?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah,
That's
they're
amazing,
majestic
man.
as hell.
Dude, that's amazing. That's sweet. It's beautiful, actually.
Just solid muscle. Look at that.
Look at his face.
Like you gotta take a shit.
It's like he knows what's going on.
It's like
It's so nuts.
that's the face a gorilla makes when they ask him if 100 people could take him. Look at
Now
that.
this one looks like it's taking a shit. You know what I'm saying? He looks like he's kind of
He's like
squatting or whatever. That's what it looks like. But yeah, it's
he's sitting
awesome.
there taking 100 dudes.
Man, this is just like mother protecting the young, and the young has like the same
Well, even her.
intuition as like a baby. It's like 70% of our DNA related to chimps, or what is it, 90? Just off the top of my head, it's just crazy. Like how much of us is in them, how much are they in us? It's nuts.
Instinctually.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool.
That thing probably weighs 800 to a not that little guy, but like full grown, they're like what 800 to 1,000 pounds.
I don't even know. Yep.
And you said they could lift like was it 3 times their weight or something? Dead weight.
10, 10. They can haul and push and yeah, 1,300 psi in the jaw, 10 times their weight. Something like this, if it didn't like you, it would come if it slap your arm, it could just break the arm. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
2 punches to your femur would break your leg. Just the sheer torque, pure dominance right there in those eyes. That's amazing, though. Just look at these photos and look at them.
The other thing too is like they're not fragile as far as like one punch could just kill you from them, but like I'm sure they're like any animal, like like my little, I used to call him a little, my little dog. He's not even 100 pounds, but like dude's solid muscle, and like he'll like he bumps you like with even with his tail. It's like damn,
Yep.
you're just because he's just rock solid, pure muscle.
Yep.
Just think what this thing is like. That's an 800 pound freaking just
Yeah, it's like what were they made for? Like, and as far as dogs, like you say, like you know how I bred my bulldogs for a couple years, and I used to have one. And then like, in the '80s, I believe it was a man on some Dave or Dan or whoever, some person who he mixed in the bulldog breed with another breed. But anyways, they were bull baiting dogs, and they would be taken when they went like bull hunting. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
that's why a bulldog would have like it would have its nose here and the jaw up front, so it can get a hold and still breathe, and then pull and help take down the bull. But again, power, like though, like she was this small dog, 65 pounds, but she could pull me around, and I'm 185 pounds
So bulldogs were bred to hunt bulls.
for bull baiting. Yep,
I did not know that. I'm
yep.
learning something new today.
And then also like you have the Renaissance bulldog where you have like the little stumpy bulldog that's really short and stuff like that, and then you have the oldie English bulldog,
Mm-hmm.
OLDE, oldie English bulldoggy,
Aldi.
and those were bred to have less health issues
Oh,
than the Renaissance or the original bulldog. So
it's crazy.
yeah,
Wild, wild stuff, man.
it is wild.
So yeah, let us know what y'all think. And I don't know, I'm leaning more towards that ain't happening. Sure as heck ain't gonna be me, man. Uh,
Nope.
uh, I'm good. I'm good. But I think we should ask the gorilla what he thinks.
He'd
Like
probably be
they
like,
have gorillas that know sign language and stuff, right?
he'll be like, I'll kick your ass straight up,
He's like, he'd be like,
straight up whoop ya.
he'd be like, nope. Yeah, gorilla ain't scared.
He ain't scared.
Nah. But all right. So our topic, our last episode, we were talking about, we had Tartaria Part One, Tartaria Part Two, as far as a lot of buildings and mainly buildings. You can call them structures around America that were just kind of like questionable and possibly prehistoric. And how were they built? Who were they built? Why did they build them? Well, now we'd like to go ahead and take a trip around the world and discuss some worldwide megalithic structures. And we'll go over the history of what history books tell us when they were built. And then we'll also give our insight as to what we think. And because a lot of this stuff is pretty wild.
There's so
And
much wild stuff out there.
right. So yeah, we got a nice little list here. Justin, take us around the world. What you got for us?
These Nazca lines, you want to talk about these?
Yeah, let's go. Nazca lines. That's a good start.
You're kind of pretty good off the top of your head about. You got a lot of info to share. Do you want me to do like an image thing and kind of go
Yeah,
through
let's
them?
go ahead and bring up some images there. So for those of y'all who don't know, the Nazca lines, located in the Nazca Desert in Peru, that's why they're called the Nazca lines, and they're a series of, you're about to see here, carvings on the desert floor that are, is that just like what else? What else? Let's see what else?
Oh, this might be a
I think that's just a general collaboration of what they all look like. That's not actually how they look. Okay, so here we go.
yeah.
This is in the
This would be
Nazca
like a
Desert in Peru, and the length of these things. Obviously, this is from way up in an air, taken from an airplane. There's carvings that are carved into the desert floor of, like this one is a, what would you say, spider? It looks like a kind of a spider to me.
the message for the gods.
And and obviously, yes, if you look at the, you know, the empire from down there. What would that be? The Inca in Peru there. Um, and they were supposedly some of them are up to 1,600 feet. 400. 400 yards. Some of them they're huge. They're absolutely massive. And only if you're on the ground, I've seen ground level pictures of these. And if you're on the ground, they just look like lines in the ground. You can't really tell what they are whatsoever. So they can only really be appreciated from very, very far up. You want to show us some other images of what
Oh
they.
yeah,
So that's like a ground level version. So if you're looking at the ground level, you're just like, oh, okay, what's this? And this is a different. I'm not sure which one this is.
it almost looks like in the photo too. It looks like you could just ruffle up the sand right there if you wanted, and the line wouldn't be there. But that's not the case.
But yet they've been there since what we're looking at, built from 200 BC to 500 AD, is what they're telling us in our history books.
That's insane.
Um, so yeah, but then they're different images of all kinds of. That one's a little harder to see.
It is, yeah.
Um, just keep clicking through till we find a. Like there's these circle images over here. There's like obviously it's like some kind of snake type stuff, but this stuff is like carved into the desert floor, and it's been there for a couple thousand years at least. And from the start to now, 2000, and like there's this. What is that? What is that? It looks like a almost like a humanoid figure. I'm looking at with like a swirly tail.
Oh, right here, like right away, I saw a monkey.
And that's what I mean. Yeah, okay, monkey. Yeah, I guess arms, legs. Yeah, that makes more sense. But like the swirl is very common in petroglyphs as well, that you'll find all over the Americas, what from South America up to I've seen them in Arizona, even Minnesota here. I've seen them. There's a Jeffers petroglyph site here. So like these are like petroglyphs. For those of you who don't know what petroglyphs are, they're basically ancient rock carvings that you'll find on cave walls, just desert walls, just these carvings, and there's a lot of interesting stuff that's carved in. But these are like petroglyphs on a megalithic scale. That's why we're starting with this one and including it on the megalithic structure because I mean, like I said, these things are hundreds and hundreds of feet long, big, wide, whatever you want to say. Like, I don't even know what this would be. Like, and it wouldn't be easy. And also to be able to carve these, it's got four fingers on one and one, two, three, four,
Yeah,
five
I
on.
just noticed that, and then five.
What the hell is that thing? And this could have been something where they started it and they just didn't, they didn't finish. Who knows?
That's pretty wild.
But also the precision, like you look at some of the lines and some of the straight lines, and to be able to carve this on the ground for only the purposes of, I guess, like you said, to be seen by the gods. It's pretty wild to be able to have that accuracy of just people that were, I mean,
Well, it reverts back to like the pyramids too. It's just like the and you can go down a whole rabbit hole with that, but like measurements, it's all about the hardest thing is that general wondering of like connecting the lines. Where are they going to end up? And they ended up correctly. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But yeah, it's just what I was just doing about it is like these lines are interesting and they're cool and it makes the brain wonder. It's the Nazca lines in southern Peru are a group of pre-Columbian geoglyphs etched into the desert sands, covering of nearly 1,000 square kilometers. There are about 300 different figures, including animals and planets, composed of over 10,000 lines, some of which measure 30 meters wide and stretch more than 9 kilometers. These figures are most visible from the air or nearby hilltops.
and they have planets. That the one that the part of that stuck out to me is that they had planets. And obviously, way back then, the night sky was much more spectacular, and we could see a lot more than we could see now. Light pollution, pollution in general. That must be the hummingbird.
Yeah, this one's a little bit blurred around the thing, but why does this line look so straight? It's just insane.
Perfectly straight. You know, there's no waver. Even as it looks like a monkey throwing up.
Nah, yeah, right there with the mouth.
They gave that monkey some ayahuasca, and that boy had a bad trip.
So much spiral to the tail, though.
Right. What is that representing? What is that depicting? That looks like an alien, straight up. Look at the
But
eyes. That
see,
just
I
looks like.
imagine this has got to be so high up, though. So high up.
What do you mean high up?
Just very high in the sky.
Oh, to be able to see it.
It looks like it just with looking at the vegetation around it and everything. It
Oh, you
looks
mean
like
the
they're
desert floor?
several 100 feet up or something. But yeah, it's
So yeah, that's the Nazca lines in southern Peru in the Nazca Desert. And
what
it
is that? A phoenix?
could be. 'Cause
That
there's
is pretty wild.
yeah. Yeah, there's a hummingbird, an arachnid, that's the spider, a fish, a condor, a heron, a monkey, a lizard, a dog, a cat, and a human. Other shapes and like you said, trees and flowers. So just very interesting, and it's an interesting, it's eclectic choice of things to put up there to make those. Like why did they spend? And this is we get a lot of the arguments of like a lot of this stuff when it was built, like, oh, they had so much time on their hands, they had nothing else to do but carve giant floor carvings in the desert. Well, you know I'm guessing where these are carved, they're not exactly a very hospitable place, so they probably weren't living out there. They probably had to travel out there or set up encampments, to of people that carved these things and spent this time. It's almost like a it reminds me of like the constellations. You know what I mean? It's almost like a map of constellations to me, like an interpretation, like could be like a reflection of the sky. You know?
Yeah, there's a really cool thing that maybe we can talk about. We'll do it another time. Is with Graham Hancock talking about the alignment and everything and the constellations and stuff. When I see these images too, it's like off the top of my head. It's like a culture stating they put their signature on the paper. They put their writings into the earth, like saying that we were here.
Right.
It's we were here.
And that's the way like petroglyphs are. Is like that's their kind of them telling their story of whatever they do. This is where we hunted, or this is where this. Like the one in Minnesota, it goes back like 10,000 years of tribes coming to that place
Yeah,
and carving their little story. It was like a pilgrimage site where we're gonna go here, we're gonna carve our story, and then we're gonna head back to where we were from.
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, because there was tribes from like Indiana, Ohio, all over the place that came to this one rock in southern Minnesota and kind of carve their little story, and
It's
then
like intriguing, and it's not being in reality, but like it makes you just want to hop on a flight. Like, hey, tomorrow night, hop on a flight, and you think that you can just go to these places and take like a 3 day gander and come back, so you can just be in wonder, But I know it's not like that. There's so many layers of like having to line everything up and so much overhead, but it'd be cool just to go to some of these awesome places, you know.
I would like to. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
So that's the Nazca lines in Peru. Do we want to? Where in the world do we want to go now? Speaking of, go ahead and hopping in our little flight simulator type thingy
Yeah,
that
you brought up that one place. That is it. Am I pronouncing it right? Namadol. I don't know anything about it.
All right, non-modal,
Non-Madol.
non-modal. It is a. It's. I can't even begin to pronounce the name. It's a company of country of Micronesia. The name of the island Temawin Island, the federal states of Micronesia. So this is another one where like Pon. It says it's kind of like I don't know the eastern shore of the iron island Pohnpei, I guess, not Pompeii, Pohnpei, and so this one also the Saladur dynasty was there apparently until 1628. Now you can kind of see, okay, this just looks like a stack of rocks for right now. So this island was basically there's an island, and then they built basically an island, almost a floating island with all these huge stones that are like they look like they're carved like lumber. These are all
That's what it
it's
is,
all
huh?
yeah, it's all stacked stone, and they basically made like a harbor and a lagoon, if you will. And this, and mind you, this is absolutely in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, to be specific.
Is it really?
In the middle of I mean, could you? I mean, yeah. So like, you just
Just
see these stones that are all stacked up. They basically made this lagoon, and if you look, if you can get um some overhead and maybe possibly like a mapped out version of where this is in the world would be cool if you could, Justin.
I could do. I could see. There's like Google Earth too. You know how you can just like hit it from where you are and it
Right.
takes you around the world.
Show us where it's at because that's almost as unfathomable than anything else because where it's at, like in this okay, like I said, it said it was inhabited until 1628, which really is like okay, that's not that long ago. No, I mean 400 years, but really not that long ago in the grand scheme of things. And just to be able to build this, yeah, and it's saying that the architecture began 11 AD to 1200, so they only took about 20 years to build this, and then occupied it for let's say 400 and some years, and then just dipped out, which sounds a little just doesn't really make sense to me. There is a picture of on the wiki that shows like the overhead,
Oh, we
which
can go there
literally it's
too.
built off the either one of those. It shows where it's at first.
Yeah. So it just shows.
That one right there, the second.
Yeah, it was a different tab that took us. I can go back to it too because there's just these two tabs it shows. But
All right, well, he shows where it's at, like in the ocean. All right, there you go. Can you get that a little bigger? All right. So I mean, it's in. I mean, it's pretty far out there. Not as much as in the middle of nowhere as I kind
here's
of.
China, pretty much in the middle of nowhere.
I mean, yeah, that's out there. There's China. That's what Australia, and that's it. Probably doesn't really do it any justice. What is that? New Zealand, right there north of. I'm guessing this is Australia down here.
You click this one down here.
The
Okay, that's a little clearer.
Marshall Islands. Is that right?
Well, here we have Hawaii, right?
Is that so? This is kind of a compacted.
It's almost halfway across
So it's out there. It's in the middle of
because
nowhere.
we're way over here. Yeah.
So then,
Do you think that they didn't have anything better to do, but they were stuck out there and they're like, let's just build a fort? Maybe not. It's pretty sweet though. It looks amazing.
but okay, so no, I don't think that because it's not really just a fort. It is literally more of a floating
A mini
lagoon that
city.
they built off the side of the island. And the way it's built, it looks like it was built for a purpose. It was built for to be a travel hub. and maybe it was a stopping point on the way to Hawaii. Maybe it was back, a hub
Oh,
transport back and forth. But, like, that's the way it's built. Is that it looks like it was like, hey, like you, because they have. If you um, go back again, back to your last little tab that you were in. One more.
back to
Okay, so now the third picture in down here, that one right
right,
there.
this
Yep,
one.
yep. So again, you
Okay.
get that. So look at okay. So this is how it was built, off the edge of an island. So here's the mainland, and then
Oh,
they
look at
built
this.
Nan Madol over the water like this. And there's like all these little canal, like all these little passages, like they act as like canals, and like there's like all the like squares and stuff. Those are structures. Like, first of all, this is like an outside wall with entrances, and then there's all these little nooks and crannies, and I would imagine that each one of these little spots had its own little purpose, whether it was, one was where you got your supplies, one was where the whorehouse was, one was where maybe this one with the water in the middle was like a bathing place. Like, who knows?
It was a micro little city off the coast of what we know as land, right?
Right. Yeah, essentially. All right. Can we then? Okay. So now that we explained that, can we get a couple more, just images of what they built,
Of what?
of like just what it looks like. So like some of these ones down here towards, and like I'd say the third row, and just kind of show what yeah, any one of those, just kind of thumb through those. So yeah, so they stacked all these. I mean, somehow they built a foundation off the island. I'm guessing using a bunch more of these stones that they just stacked like Lincoln logs, and built all these structures.
So off the top of your head, common sense asks, it's like how do they move these stones? It's like with the pyramids. It's like in the chamber, in the king's chamber, you have stones in the ceiling that are 50,000. I mean, what 50 plus tons or even more? It was 100 tons. I mean, all the weight. I don't understand how you would move these. Even if you had a group of 12 men right here, speaking of the whole 100 men versus a gorilla thing, it'd be. I just don't understand how you could move these around.
Over water, you're doing it over water, so you're using some type of vessel. I would, I don't know. That's just a baffling question. I have no idea. And these are kind of, and it's become in ruin as of lately because it's been abandoned for only 400 years. So this thing that took what is known to be about 20 years to build,
Seriously.
occupied for 400 ish, abandoned for the last 400 ish. But they just, and that's what history books are telling us. And why in the middle of the ocean? I mean, regardless of what you say, that's the middle of the freaking ocean. It's not like it's, you know, especially back then, 400 years ago. You're talking a good couple months journey, I'm guessing, to get there, if you get there.
It's so intriguing. It's like who and why and the volume of the material moved by man. It's like how.
And I don't really have. There's no really explanation as to where they got the stones. If it was off of that, I mean, I would imagine they were on that main island, Temuan Island. But there's no really. Yeah, little can be verified. Yeah, they have no explanation. There's really no, and so I don't know how they get the dates, how they're dating that.
Yeah, they do like scrape testing of the rock and
Which what does that really tell you?
versus the elements, and they just run a test of exposures to UV light and what bacteria is there, and yeah, a whole bunch of elements. But it's actually beautiful though. It reminds me of Sea of Thieves pirates game. When you come upon an island, there's little forts.
Yeah. So I
That's
don't know.
pretty wild, though.
That's a great picture right there.
It is.
Like clearly a step into some sort of like commons area or something. But like
It's so far out there.
and they're like kind of crude, honestly. Like obviously it's insane how they would have moved those, but it's not like they're like there's other sites where it's like how did they like get such precise carvings? These are somewhat crude, and I don't know. I don't know what kind of rock this is, but I don't know. It's still highly impressive.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a limestone or what. You know.
I don't know. Yeah, just built out there. Look at there's a good photo. That last one was a good kind of upshot of like the animation one that we had. Like
Yeah, it's a little blurry, but
yeah, but so you get the idea of like what was going on out here, and like here's the island. Let's build one. Let's build this just off.
yeah, I
Why
don't
not just
understand
build
why.
on land?
I don't understand why. Exactly, I don't understand why. But it's like the sheer labor that went into that, the volume of manpower is, to build
It's
that is insane. Because
crazy
just me looking at those rocks, we're not moving those. It takes groups and groups and groups and groups of people, or machinery,
for 100 gorillas.
or 100 gorillas. You know,
For
that
real though.
doesn't.
How? How do they like? Yes, people were stronger and all that other stuff. It's like they didn't have iPhones and all that shit. They weren't swiping on TikTok. So let's just move these rocks. And,
Yep,
I don't know. So that's Nan Madal.
that's pretty sweet.
Mhm. Where in the world should we go next, Justin?
Okay, we have. Oh wow, what'd you know about this place?
She-
What'd you know about this place, Mr. Cy Hansen?
This is Angkor Wat. Ooh, dude,
Yeah,
this one's wild, man. Supposedly built as a Buddhist temple is what Angkor Wat is, and it's the largest
dude, look at that.
religious temple in the world.
Wow.
Supposedly
The,
constructed about 1150 CE. So that would
really?
be so that would be pre or in BC. So C BCE would be the former. Look at that.
What is on top? Are these mini statues?
Yes, all mini statues carved on there.
These are mini statues?
And that's Cambodia.
You gotta be kidding me. These are mini statues?
No, it's like all like intricately carved.
Yeah, that's insane.
Just
That's so
hammers and
cool.
chisels.
That's so cool.
And the
Gosh.
place is absolutely massive.
From a distance, it looks like you're looking at Pinecone. But I went in and I'm like, dude, it's like mini statues.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Wow. Gosh, why do these look like windows? They didn't go in and do like a refab of the place and add to it, did they?
No, there's never been any like uh, restoration. I mean, other than like, well, I guess I shouldn't say
My
that.
gosh.
Who knows what it looked like when it was really found by whoever found it? Because this is another place where, like when we were talking last episode about like the Tremor Hotel, just
Yep.
these beautiful, massive places that they eventually just tore down. But this one, it found a reason to keep it. I guess the Buddhist temple angle is a reason enough why. Look how massive that is.
That's gorgeous.
And that's actually a really cool photo with the reflection.
It is.
um,
Wow.
but no longer in use. It's just a site now. It's not an active temple anymore. It's just kind of a historical geological site that they have stories as to how and why it was built and in use. But then why are so many structures like this just eventually kind of abandoned? And you would think a site like this forever and ever it would be, unless whether it was out of respect by the Buddhists, where they're like, this is a site that just needs to be left as is. We don't want to further damage it, or, by just the activity of people, want roaming the halls. And but then again, you would think that would also come with some upkeep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Um, all right, I have to eat my words. It does say here that it continues to be a Buddhist center till this present day.
Oh, really?
It was largely neglected after the 16th century. It still doesn't make a whole lot of sense though. So like it was abandoned and just neglected. So they just were like, oh, we're just gonna leave here. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you
Yeah.
not
It,
like
it
continue?
looks like they've obviously it's
It has had
and
some restoration. What are you saying?
yeah, and like as we know, like things, it's like with your products today in the industry. It today, sadly, it's about quantity over quality. Now, that's where our products we buy, how things don't last as long, and then when we take that into account with like for going back further in time, it's like just with our products the same. It used to be quality over quantity. You know,
Right.
older houses that were built, appliances that were more solid, that they lasted longer, and now it's about quantity over quality. But yeah, there's some preservations going on here where they might see like some weakening of the stone and assessing like foundations and like doing like some repair stuff. But
Which would make sense for a building that's
to preserve something so beautiful, yeah. My gosh, look at that.
I mean just
Wow.
weather alone is gonna eat at that.
Yeah.
1150 though. So within the last 1,000 years that was built. Just think
Seriously?
well it'd be 1150, so it'd be 900 and 875 ish years ago. But I'm not getting a timeline as far as how long it took them to build this. I haven't been able to, just founded. And then that term founded also is interesting because that's a lot of what we were talking about um, with the buildings in America here. Like there's a theory of like that they were not built, they were founded. They were founded by also means that they were found. That all our forefathers that came here and said, "Oh, we built this." Well, that was actually founded, and founded meant found. So is this another situation of this building that was founded in 1150 in the middle of Cambodia? And mind you, where this is at as well, like I'm not a big Cambodia expert, but I know there's a lot of jungle and it's a lot of very rough terrain. And exactly where this is in the middle of the country, it's not like it's a easy place to just go build, especially 1,000 years ago. You're dealing with weather and you're dealing with animals and snakes and bugs and you know and absolutely zero technology as well.
Yeah.
Supposedly, allegedly. And yet they built this 1,000 years ago. Pretty impressive. I don't know. this is
Trying
Angkor
to see
Wat.
where. There it is. I think I lost it for a second there.
What are you looking for?
I lost the old mouse. Lost the old mouse on here.
Lost your mouse. On Tom and Jerry, you lost your mouse.
I had a when I was deployed to Iraq, 2006, 2008. Speaking of Cambodia, there was one individual. His name was Sarith Mean. He was from Cambodia, and we called him Meanie for like a little nickname. You know what I mean? But he was one of the sweetest guys, dude, that you'd ever meet. He was a little guy, but he had such a big heart. But he was from Cambodia. So what happened was is when we deployed and we came home, he went home to see his family, and within that next day, he died of a car accident in Cambodia because there's, from what I know off the top of my head, a lot of contouring with like traffic. You know, there might not be lights, stuff like that. People kind of like freely go through and in and out. But
Yeah, yeah. It
yeah, he
seems
was from
pretty wild.
Cambodia.
Traffic, yeah.
Yep.
That sucks.
Yep. Our little meanie, rest in peace. Yep.
And for all of you who don't know, I don't know if I introduced this about you. Sir Justin Webb here is a Army veteran. So we thank you for your service, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Si.
Absolutely. Thank you. The ziggurat in Iraq, that's another one that I don't think I sent you the info for, but that's another interesting one.
And I never even got a chance to go there.
But you know about it, right?
Not that much. I mean, people went, like some of our company went to go see it, but like with the Oregon Trail, like when I went to training, I never got to go see the Oregon Trail. And then the ziggurat, I would look out my window and see it. Or when I was at work, I'd look in the distance and be like, "Oh, there it is," but I never got to go. But I was always intrigued at, looking behind and then seeing this old structure. You know,
That's one where it looks like a straight up alien or a spaceship landing pad. Like,
right?
like it's like what is this doing? Like,
And I never got a chance to really look into it too much with the ziggurat, but it's definitely intriguing.
mm-hmm. These are.
See, I didn't know all of this existed here.
That's what I was saying. Like the whole site is absolutely just massive. And
Dude, I would say because we were talking about how long would it take to build it. So me looking at this, I would say that long ago, I would say, and we're talking build it, like complete it, like we're talking walls and everything. I would say 70 years or something. Is that extravagant? Is that totally off the wall?
the internet is telling me now
25 to 70 years.
30.
30 years.
30 years.
30 years. How do they even
In
know, though? You know
in
what I mean?
1100 something. So finished in 1150, started around 1116.
And these are just assessments, right? Because how do they really know?
I have no idea. They have absolutely. You can't like you're really good. I mean, you can narrow it
Yeah.
down. Like,
It's like in today's day of age, we're finding out that like even like with Graham Hancock stuff, with like the Younger Dryas theory, that every 10,300 years to 12,500 years, we get asteroided, you know what I mean? And we don't even know it's possible. And we're close to that point. It's like we're like turning the page now with more technological advances each year, and we're finding new things.
right.
It's like we're opening these new portals, these new closets to new findings that maybe our own information, our own knowledge, there's an overlap where we find out something new. But then again, a lot of work goes into, a lot of assessment goes into narrowing down. It's amazing to think that they could guess that, by analyzing it, that 1,000 years ago it was built in 30 years. But yeah,
yeah, I'd be interested in knowing how they go about that.
right.
If it's written records, if it's just like carbon dating, if it's I would imagine it's more of like story and lore as far as like, okay, what was going on in this time at the time.
It's like there was a time break where, like, let's say you ask your mom and dad, who is your mom and dad, and you know who your grandma and grandpa is, and then you know who your great grandma and grandpa was, and then there's kind of this line break. You know what I mean? Where you really don't know. It's like each family member being like, "Tell them who I was. Tell them what I looked like." Going back to mother's mother, where it keeps going back. It's like there's kind of like this line break. Does this make sense? It's kind of confusing, but
No,
like
no, no, it makes 100%.
it's because now we can take video, take pictures. We relate to we kind of relate to what's kind of went on in the past a little bit, but like ancient civilizations and stuff, it's like nobody forwarded the info to be like, hey, tell them this is how we did it, you
Right.
know.
Well, and there wasn't a
But
lot of, that's why, like, the Sumerian tablets and things like that are trying to be decoded, as far as like those are like one of the oldest recorded written documents as far as human history goes. They say like 1%. We basically have like 1 or 2% of our human history that's been recorded, like going back, just a few thousand years. And there's another couple of sites that kind of are they're basically monolithic, megalithic recording of history. It's just how you interpret that history. How do you break down what is being told? Because there's a message in all these sites. These sites weren't just built, to be abandoned. Like, I think a lot of them are way older than what 1100 or
very well could
1100
be.
BC or eight, whatever the hell.
Yep.
Um, and there's obviously a story to be told. Like, they didn't. When you build something like this, it in your mind, this is going to stand the test of time and last forever, and that is their way of passing down the story of what happened there to now to us. Oh, God. I might have to put the cover back on. I just had a facial hair get caught in my mic. That kind of hurt.
Oh yeah.
Just got me snagged right there. Usually
Did
I'm
it?
not.
I hate that. It's so annoying.
It's either put the cover on or trim the. Anyway, but, um, and now it's just being just taken over by Earth. Like, why would you not like stay there and cut that weed down? That was just
Is
a
that a
weed.
real photo? It looks like
I mean, I don't know.
it's um it could be a real one. I could see it, but like it's just because of the washy. There might have been some optimizations made, but
I don't know.
I think a lot of it was is they just they didn't have a lot of these
But it also looks
ancient.
like it started to crumble. Like, if you look at the far tower, it's missing its peak.
Yeah,
Almost looks like that's again why humans would stay in, you know, like, because there's this temple. Oh, I'm gonna butcher it now. It's supposedly like where I can't think of the name, but it's this temple where supposedly Jesus is supposed to be actually buried, and it's very old, obviously 2,000 what years old. Um, but there's like people who constantly maintain it, upkeep it. It's like it's inside. People are gonna think I'm crazy because I don't know what I'm talking about exactly right
Hmm.
now, but it's a thing. Y'all look it up.
Speaking of Jesus, they were talking about that. There's this video I watched the other day where they were talking about the shroud
Mm-hmm.
and how they analyzed it, and it's just like how it does go back 2,000 years. And I mean, there's news that we heard about 6 months ago about it, but there's just fresh off the press news about how 185-pound man, 5'11", front and back image. It's just they date it back to to what they believe is of Jesus Christ. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of science goes into that, and
Well, that's another one where like history screwed that story up so bad that like you can't like it's hard to like look back and be like, okay, who was who was this, who was that, because the names have been changed and
you know,
stories been told. It's like the telephone game, like we've talked about, you know.
yeah, it's like a photo like that's been shared or something, or like something digital where it gets transferred and shared and transferred and shared, and it gets so compressed and like formatted over time. So like an event that happened or something, it can get so things can get so you get like a piece of like generally what happened, but all of those different points are in there, you know?
Yeah, I do. Interesting, interesting. What do you think? Should we go? There's There's a bunch. We have a bunch here. We're already at an hour here, which is fantastic. I'm thinking either I'd like to see Petra and Jordan possibly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Would like to take us to
Yeah,
Jordan.
so I can go you see here. There we go. Bum,
There's
bum,
so many
bum.
places. Like I have a whole nother list, and we could sit here and we might have to do a part two on this.
Okay.
A lot of them are like there's so much stuff. As we've tried to discuss what topics to discuss, you know, and eventually we are going to get into just discussing Egypt. That is a huge. It's a very big interest topic for myself, and we want to dive into that. That's one where I'm like, once we dive in, we're gonna be swimming with the big fish, and I really want to have everything buttoned up. This one, we're just kind of like going through all these sites and structures and kind of checking them out, looking at them, like just maybe some of these places, some of y'all are familiar with, maybe they're not. Maybe we're opening up a new can of worms for you guys, but um, I definitely encourage listeners, the audience, to go ahead and deep dive yourself, and you know, just kind of do some digging. It's kind of it's all thought provoking. It's all, you know, questioning the reality of what we think we know, and just kind of discovering new worlds. Like you said about the Nazca lines, like how cool would it be to just be able to go see all this stuff and just go, you know, maybe
Right.
someday we'll be as blessed to do that. But all
So let
right.
me see here.
Yeah, here we have Petra and Jordan.
So I can do
Hmm.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah. Let's
That
just
is
go ahead and
insane.
leave that there for a second. And
That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
uh, so
Just a portal of wonder right into the rock. What is that? What is that?
uh just perfectly and intricately, easy for me to say, intricately carved into the side of this cliff. And a lot of these structures are amazing for one reason, as in like you screw up one thing, like the whole. And what sucks about this one is like there's a bunch of bullet holes like in it now. Like it's kind of crumbled a little bit. People who found it, they just started shooting it for some stupid ass reason.
This is insane because I look at this and I see you have this canvas, right? And you have to paint it, but we're going inward. So we have to calculate perception of the depth of cutting, of how deep we're going to go. And what I mean is you have this wall and you have to go in, but then you have to come out at this point and all this stuff. And this is just What's the date on this side? This is
So,
insane.
um, what we're getting is around fourth century BC, or over 2,000 years ago. Um, Inhabited by the Nabetians. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that this particular culture was actually a um woman led. The women were actually the leaders in the culture. Um and so and this is another one where it's not exactly clear as to where the area had been inhabited for since 7,000 BC by sort of Nabetian people. And so there's not a clear guesstimation, if you will, as to when. And this was all kind of a hot spot during the Silk Road. I believe this was somewhat along the Silk Road, which was obviously, again, going back to Jesus, aka Yeshua, who, and not to get all um, religious, but this is just a side note. There's a time and period in the Bible where Jesus was a young boy, and then a missing period in between when he was a young boy and a man. And it is said that he traveled along the Silk Road all the way to India, and kind of along that journey picked up a lot of the. That's why Christianity and like the things that Jesus teaches have a lot of like Buddhist um like Buddhist ideals, as far as like being kind and forgiveness, because Jesus was Jewish. And the Jewish culture was not that way. Jewish culture was more eye for an eye. And whereas in Buddhism, it's more of forgiveness and things like that, kind of was the preaching of Jesus. So, anyways, Petra was along the Silk Road there, and which was, the reason why it was called the Silk Road. It was a travel point for, spices, silk, and just a traveling point for people back in, a couple thousand years ago, to be able to share their goods, sell stuff, buy stuff, trade, and all that good stuff. I guess there's probably more trade than buy sell, but um,
Jeez. So I wonder inside this place, like how deep is it? I wonder, is it just like how is there depth? Is
it's
there's it doesn't go inside. Like
yes, it's just as intricate on the inside as it is on the out.
what?
Yeah, we're getting fourth century. So talking 2,000 years ago. Chisels and hammers. Um, they might have had some bronze chisels, but
I've never looked into back in this uh in this time in the timeline what tools they would even use to get this like I don't know what the rock is. I know of limestone, but get it smooth. How do they get the pillars smooth? Did they just they couldn't have ran over it with a certain I don't know.
I believe at this site there's also they built aqueducts. Like and that's another thing of like carving the stone. Like, and when we get to Egypt, there's like, how did they do it? There's methodologies where you can like use water and friction to carve stone, but you would need both, because without the water, your tools are just gonna disintegrate, and obviously without friction, you can't. You know,
I heard something about online about how if it were because we don't know and I know it's I believe with the pyramids I believe that it could have been. So if I may rant just here for 30 seconds. So like we have like the Big Bang, right? So like a shotgun blast, we go out, we're the big opening to the Big Bang. Like a shotgun spread. All those little pebbles are like rocks and stuff that form into planets, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the grabby alien theory is that it's the galaxies are so vast that there's big bangs going off in all directions. So you're shooting this way, ripping through space and time at what 30,000 miles an hour on Earth, however fast we're going. I think it's something like that. There could be shots that coned out from this way and coned out from this way, and the thing is that it's I lost my train of thought where I was going to go with this, but the whole thing with I think that maybe something of an alien type may have came to what we know as planet Earth. They may have did some stuff and they were content and fulfilled and then they left. Or I also heard about you mentioned with the water and the stone about how there was this pulsation effect, how they move stuff, how they move materials. You know,
Yeah.
I, I think we could have been visited, but
Well,
it's just a wonder.
and that's kind of the point of covering this is like I feel like there's some sort of lost technology. Obviously, we're not going out in the middle of the desert now and doing this. People just aren't doing it. Or in the middle of the ocean, or carving lines in the middle of the desert again to for the gods.
Right.
You could the modern day equivalent is like most church. Well, maybe not anymore, but a lot of churches. If you look at an old church, it's got a long middle and two wings on the outside. If you look from the up top, it's a cross. If you look at a lot of old churches, they're built as a cross. That's our modern day equivalent of the Nazca lines and the pyramids. Just a small little dot on the earth, just a tiny little dot on the map of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And 2,000 years ago, they were building stuff like this. They were building stuff like Angkor Wat. But how? Like, and I keep going back to like, oh, they just had more time. They just had stronger people. They just had a bigger. I'm not buying it. They were in the middle of the desert. They still had to eat. They still needed water. They still needed shelter from all that heat.
It's like it's like people are like, oh, Thomas Edison invented the light bulb or something, or we created electricity, or this and that. We were the first ones to do this. I think you were just like the 23rd set or the 1,000th person to do whatever. I think things have already. There could have been something that was created that was like a voltage electricity that was called something else back in the day. It's possible that like there were. I'm not going down whatever. I'm just saying it's possible that there were like
Well,
there's old great technology, because if you look at the fires in California and you look at like on the coast there where the houses and everything stood and the fire came through and then they're just gone and they're ashy. Now mix in some uprooting the soil and breaking up the ground, and everything's buried 15, 30 feet below, and then it just diminishes away into the soil. Like, we don't have everybody, because people are wondering like if they had this old technology, where are the tools, where is this and that, but
right.
it could be maybe they didn't use the same thing. you know
There's
it's kind
another.
of I was kind of ranting there about it, but just kind of giving an example of how like it's very possible that something existed and then it was destroyed in some catastrophic event that went on for 3 to 6 months straight on planet Earth, getting asteroided every day, and then it's possible that there's a great reset every now and then. But if any of that makes sense, I know I'm kind of ranting about it, but
No, it makes complete sense. And like you said, it's just okay. Where are the tools?
yeah, people looking for proof, like
I have another one that we're gonna. This is gonna even. I can find. It just came to mind. This is in India. The Elora Cave. Okay, yeah, this one came up.
Something
Dude,
you wanted me to look up?
okay, yeah. So this, if Petra blows your mind, this one's gonna just, it's gonna be a little harder to see here. Make sure I got the right one here. Okay, okay. This one's gonna, and we'll have to find, so Elora Caves, Eloora Caves in Veral, India. We might have to get a little background. And we'll just look at the images and discuss them. The history doesn't really matter.
I have never heard of these. Let me see here.
This is gonna blow your mind.
Let me just see if I can click this wiki thing once. No, maybe not that. Let me go back. Let me click this. Go here. It's a little bit smaller.
Okay,
What the heck?
so
What is this all about?
this one is freaking. We're gonna have to get some close up images of this because like this one. Okay, so you see the cliff faces here, and all of this carved in. So picture this as just one big solid cliff face, cliff, rock, mountain, whatever you want to call it. And all of this that is no longer there in between like the center structure was all carved away. Okay. So this is all solid rock. And all these little statues and everything that's carved, it was carved into the side of this mountain. All carved. So this was all carved away. This is all, nothing was brought in. This is all carved out of the side of this mountain. And if you see this structure here to the left, all of those are little elephants
Yep.
that are
You can see
holding up this other structure here.
a little booty break there, face break of the elephant here, the tusk.
Yeah. So this was all carved out. I mean, you look at the people down there. So you see how freaking massive this is. And it was all just, look at that. Like, just carved into the side of this mountain. And the crazy part about this is there's no, like, site of waste of dump. Like I can't remember how many million cubic tons of material would have been taken out of here, but
This
it's
is insane. You're
million.
saying there's no proof of like, oh, they have a miscellaneous pile over here.
Right. There's nothing. It's almost like a 3D printing. Like they had some gigantic 3D printer. Look at this. Insane. Carved all of
There's
it.
no way. This is, I mean, obviously this is here, but this has got to be, you got to be kidding me. How do you,
I'm not kidding you.
it's like they had, well, they obviously came in and it's just, wow. You try to picture it. All these were just solid blocks that they carved down to. And then they're like, all right, guys, this is our canvas. We're going to paint on this. And we're going to just,
It's all
how many
salt.
men, how many men and women of just sheer intelligence
Right. Well, you
and
look how many
patience?
people.
Like,
There's
how?
50 people in that picture right there.
How?
Look how. Exactly. I
That's
mean, in this
amazing.
one, okay, let me see if I can find your built here.
It's amazing.
It's absolutely incredible.
Gosh, it's beautiful.
Um, over a period. Okay, so they're saying this one took about 600 years, which is
I
more
mean, look at
believable.
this right here. I don't think if I zoom in further, it'll probably damage it. But like the braiding and like the, you can tell. I mean, how, I just don't understand. All I know is this: this is old, an electric drill or a 45 Dremel tool. Nothing electronic, nothing like that was used. It's like they have this perfect braiding and like this trim work around here, and it's just, this is insane.
To be
So
able
for
to
the people
carve,
that can, so for the people that can see the photo, it's we can kind of see it as the same distance as you can. But yeah, you can tell that this is very highly detailed in here. And then
and
up here,
yeah,
Wow.
just to be able to carve it, to be able to get rid of the stone wherever they did. Maybe
Gosh,
they used it for something else,
that's so
you know,
cool.
like
That's
perfectly
super
carved
cool.
scales, perfectly carved carvings, perfectly carved columns. Yeah, and
Wow.
they're talking this. I mean, they say it took 600 years. I guess
600 years. I mean, look at up here, right there. 600 years. It's like how do you get the discipline to carry down to have
the
from generation to
generations and
generation? How
the
do you
ideas and
to carry it
the
down the work?
yeah, and the idea, the mission, the skill set. So you have people that grew up and their whole meaning in life was to carve it. That was it. That was all they did in life. That was your only mission. You're working on this, and then your son's gonna work on it, and your son's son's gonna work on it, and again and
I'm
again and again.
assuming 8 to 12 hour days, 7 days a week, while it's trying to live a life
That's it.
or whatever that was.
There was no other meaning to life other than to carve this structure. And
The level
don't,
of detail here, Sai, is absolutely insane.
yeah, and don't
This
screw
is
up.
absolutely, this is super insane. This is crazy.
you know, there were people that spent their entire lives just hauling rocks away from this site. That's all they did. Look at that. And to have the idea that this is what we're gonna do, and then go do. Obviously, I mean, I'm guessing they probably use elephant labor. That was probably how they hauled a lot of that stuff out of there. Obviously, they held in the Hindu culture, the elephant is a very sacred animal as well. But I'm sure they were like, "We're gonna need you, buddy. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
need you, Dumbo." Look at that. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh, look at the level of detail here. You have to be kidding me. How? Hold on, like how?
We're talking 600.
How look at the faint look at the compression and the wrinkling of what a natural now you look at an elephant, this right here, the scale, the matching scale of everything.
Some motherfucker looks like they broke the
This
tusk out.
is to do this out of stone. I mean, just the scaling where you see wrinkles here because it's tighter up against the neck, and then they fade away because the skin's looser and not as constricted as it goes out. That is insane. I'm blown away by the level of detail here. I seriously am,
I told you once we saw Petra, I was like, "Wait a
dude.
minute, I gotta show
This
you
is
this."
amazing.
Yeah,
This is amazing, dude. Wow.
yeah.
Holy crap.
Isn't that wild, man? Look at
Gosh,
that.
dude, that's so wild. Yeah, it is.
Like, why? So yeah, we're looking. There's 34 monasteries and temples in this site. They say 600 years between 6th century and the 12th century. That doesn't make sense. That's not how centuries work.
Hmm.
There was a early Hindu period, and then a Buddhist phase, and then later another Hindu phase of the construction, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's like, how do you get all those different cultures and religions like get on the same page? As far as like, hey, here's our plan. Don't screw it up. You know?
And you notice it's frontal with the sun here,
Right?
how it's aligned.
Yeah. I imagine at a certain time of year that sun probably sets exactly in front of lining up to that structure. So they
Yep.
weren't
To where
not only
if I can find the photo, so there's the sun, and I can guarantee you, it shines right on this
so not only did they have to find the perfect site,
perfectly
like once you start
right there.
carving into that, like there's no going back. So you have to find a perfect site to line up, and then you have to have the perfect element of rock. That like, okay, what if they start carving in, and all of a sudden it turns into, a softer stone or
Yeah,
uh,
that too.
and that probably happened. They probably had test runs where we're like, oh man, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah, you're right. Because you're totally vested
Right. Like
after all
there's no
that
once
time.
you go, once you start, there's no going back.
You're totally vested.
And then you might get to a certain point where like, damn, this is not gonna work. Let's try somewhere else. That's why it feels like this had to be in a way longer time period of just planning. The planning that would go into the planning. Nowadays we need engineers with blueprints and you know, like like okay, that's gonna take, and then it's just like any contractor, you've dealt with contractors, like, okay, this is what it's gonna take. This is the amount of material, this is the amount of labor, this is the amount of time. How did they there had to have been some amount of planning going into this. I mean, you don't just like, all right, everybody,
Yeah,
here's a hammer, here's a chisel, let's make something beautiful.
yeah. It's almost like all I can think of off the top of my head is the fact that like today's project scope and with what we build and with what we use is like the same as like what people back then would have done. So I know it sounds kind of goofy, but what I mean is that there was a whole different there was like a whole different language of going about it, a whole different format, a whole different gosh, it's like a they were as advanced, if not more, but in like a different format, like with going about it. It's like I feel like they knew what they were doing, but it was just I don't know how to make it make sense. They had all those people too, if not more, but you know what I mean? Like they had all the engineers and they had everybody, but then it makes you think again, like what did they use for like for tools and stuff and everything? It's just like
Yeah. No, I get it. Make it make
it's like
sense.
like the blueprints. Like they didn't have like the blueprints that we have or be able to print anything off, but they had a blueprint in a way, or they had a schematic in a way,
Was
or
it just
something.
verbally communicated? Like, all right,
Or
you
was it in the great minds that did this? Like I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know. The Ellora Caves in India.
mm-hmm.
I don't know this UNESCO group. I think they're like gatekeeping a lot of the information. It's like that's like a worldwide organization that kind of a government body that kind of is overseeing all this stuff. I'm seeing a
Oh, I
UNESCO.
never knew about that.
Yeah, they're
Really?
like they're kind of like they control what's a World Heritage Site. Like, so is that the inside of this joint? Even further
Yeah,
inside.
I
Okay.
believe so. Yeah, because like right back here too.
Look at that. And
Of
then
course,
you
we have
go
gatekeepers and people keeping information. It's like why,
right.
you
Like,
know?
dude, people weren't doing hammers and chisels, bro. They weren't. Come on, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. There was a higher level of intelligence that built this, man. Come on, man. You ain't telling me they built scaffolds out of bamboo or whatever the hell, and we're up in there just chink, 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 chink. No, no, I refuse
It's
to accept that.
and the thing is we all default to like the average person might think of that because they didn't have electricity, but did they have? Were they? I don't know. Were they able to? Yeah, and I might botch it too, but I don't because I know nothing about it. But it's like, what did they have a different kind of power, a different kind of how do I put it? A whole different kind of tool so that didn't require a plug-in. I don't.
They harnessing the world's electricity because that's like you said earlier about like the invention of electricity. It was like nobody invented electricity, like it's not because like, hey, let me make like electricity is everywhere, you know.
Right.
It's about harnessing electricity, not inventing it. And and that's also, you see me with my theory about like spaceships and the Earth's magnetic field. Like if you put one magnet on the table and you take another magnet, you hover it above it, that magnet will snap up, and it's those two fields coming together. And is there something to be said about moving stone like this using some sort of, whether it's sound vibration, whether it's magnetic, whether it's electrical, as far as atmospheric, and as the world's evolved and like we've built all these other structures as far as like skyscrapers and all the crap that we have today, does that dim down what they
Yeah.
were using back, way back when? Does the electronic grid, does that kind of like take away from whatever they were using? We have this whole electronic grid that's manufactured by humans that maybe they didn't have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, however many thousands of years ago. Could that possibly have an effect on? I think it does. On just
Right.
being able to use that, you know, the secrets of the Egyptians is clearly, and we could bring that. And that's another one that everybody knows about, the Great Pyramid. How did they do that? And like, there's this, you know, slave labor theory and da 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 da. We started talking about 100 men versus a gorilla. Let's talk about 100 men versus a 20-ton stone. You
And
know,
even more in some of them, even
like,
more in some of
or
them in the
more.
ceilings, you
Yeah,
know?
or more. 100 men versus a 20-ton stone. So that 20 tons, that's what, 40,000 pounds. That means each man has to lift, X amount of weight.
And then you go on YouTube and you look at videos and they show like giants and stuff with like ropes over their shoulders and like like traveling. It just doesn't, I don't know. It's, but yeah, that's a whole topic.
Right.
I'm sure people can talk about like with the whole like stuff with the pyramids and like it's crazy how like I was mentioning earlier, it wasn't handed down, you know, like from person to person to person to person. It wasn't like nobody really knows. Like there's nobody in existence right now that can come and be like, yes, my father told me because his father's father, you know what I mean? That was never handed
Yeah.
down. It's like there's
Yeah.
not one person who has the info, you know,
There's definitely lost knowledge.
because there was somebody because we're not talking too long ago, if that's even the timeline. Because what were they thinking with the pyramids? How long ago? What's a guess?
4,500 years ago.
4,500 years. Okay,
It's,
average human, like well, let's say 50 to 90 years old, 100 years old, and it just had to get passed down. What you know,
it's a lot of times.
50 times. But it's like,
Oh,
yeah, it wasn't. It's just there's no. It's like we lost it. Like there's like that line break there with like communication or something.
that's like
But
50 generations of people at 100 years at least.
yeah,
So that's a lot of generation. I mean, like you were saying, like, okay, I grandparents and I knew my great grand before, but I didn't know. My sister and I kind of did a deep dive on our family history, but like past that, I have no idea about hardly any of our family lineage as far as like who was who, where did they go, what did they do, how did they get here. Like,
right.
there's just no record of it because they were just freaking. It was back, and that's it. And then that's an interesting thing is like there's no records of it because like they were just like trying to get out here from wherever they. I know now, like, um, I have family from Norway. I have family from what was currently Bohemia and um English, Irish, and Native American. But that was back during a time where like things weren't being documented really. Like, okay, maybe there's a name on a book in Ellis Island somewhere, but like after that, people were just like, okay, go ahead, go make your life, go make your living, and half the people could barely read or write, and there's no documentation of like, hey, this is what we did. It's not like today where we have the internet where we can be like, this is what we did. This is what I ate on May 2nd.
Right.
I had this meal today. Click, take a picture, upload it to the internet. It's there.
Yeah.
The internet's gone. Back then they're like maybe had a little journal and they're like, today I fought a bear because it was trying to eat me when I was trying to kill a deer. Like
Right.
um
Yeah.
it's just but then at the same time, like they were building all those grand structures that we were talking about last week. So I don't know. It's very interesting. It's very complex and there's no like real answer.
That's why, and it just it does leave you in awe, and it leaves you in wonder. And
So,
minds that like to dwell there and or like to go there and think of that stuff, it's like it's just a wide open field of like wonder, you know,
yeah.
being intrigued by something so great or greater than yourself. It's like
Yeah, because
great for an open mind. It's just like it's a field to run in, pretty much.
oh yeah. 'Cause what were they doing? That's what I wonder. Like, what were they doing? What was it like? Why? To me, it's the why as much as the how is very intriguing, but the why as well. You know, like that one we were just looking at. Like, why? Like, the Angkor Wat. Okay, it was a Buddhist temple. I get that. Okay, but still, man, dang. But then you look
Yeah,
at a
for
lot of
me,
other temples where it's just much more crude and not as
right.
intricate.
For me, it's like the how, the why, precision, self discipline,
Yeah,
dedication,
the how is fucking crazy.
intelligence.
Yeah, the intelligence.
It seems like it's more of a greater, I don't know, like a small pack of like a more of a greater people or
Right.
something.
Yeah, there was a higher
Not
power. I mean,
not
was
like
it?
greater than, but I mean like just yeah.
And I mean, was it? Obviously, a lot of people did it for a lot of these people. These folks did it for like religious type purposes. And maybe there was a greater connection to gods back then. And I say gods in plural, as in like all each and every different religion. And who are those gods? Why? Why were
It's
they
like
so revered?
what we did too is like with NASA took a recording of like NASA took video recordings or whatever and they put it on what a record
Mm-hmm.
and they sent it into space and like it's they're that's supposed to go. I mean, we still have our satellites. We still have Voyager traveling from like the 70s or whatever, and it's still ripping through. It's almost to the Oort cloud, or it's past it. Or you can look on NASA's site and see how far they are. But like, NASA sent out stuff about humans and human life on a tape, and they shot that into space. Now they know if they can look all billions of years. I mean, it'll be like, who's ever going to find that? You know,
Yeah. Right.
how
Was
what
that
in like 16.9
bad?
million years from now or something, someone
Yeah.
might find it and be like, oh, and who's to know they didn't even have the technology to see it or to be able to wonder what was on there. But
Yeah, we probably won't find out in our lifetime, but you never know.
definitely,
Uh, well, shoot, I still got a full list, but I think that's a fantastic one to kind of leave the
we did it.
listener's mind wondering about because that's just a small, tiny little morsel. Oh,
Is it really
my headphones. That's a small little morsel
just a
of.
morsel?
Am I back?
Yep.
But
Yeah, it was good.
yeah. Can you
Did,
hear me? Because I can't hear me.
I can hear you. Yeah. Did you hit the stop recording? You hear me? Sai. You can't hear me? Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check.
Now we're better,
Mic check. Can you hear me?
I think.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2. But yes, I can hear you.
I just like karate chopped my headset here, and
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
one momento.
Ah, yes.
Just some little quick technical difficulties that and
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
I
Your
got
line got
excited.
disconnected.
And I karate chopped my.
Yep. Your
What?
3.5 millimeter line in. Yeah, you did. Yeah, I could hear you. I was like, mic check, mic check.
Oh man, whoops! Got real excited there for a second. Nothing like some good, We had a smooth show up
Yeah.
until that point, so there's always got to be a little something. We're kind of working out the kinks here. We're just doing that thing.
Yeah, because you were talking and like all of a sudden it kind of like changed up or whatever, and then I saw this uploading thing in the corner of the screen, and I saw this recording, and I was like, "Sorry, are you done?" And you were like, or you were like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, okay," because I thought it was upload.
Just
I thought you hit the stop button.
just peace out. Bye. See ya.
Yep.
No, I just karate chopped my shit there and then went into panic mode for a second. I'm like, oh, F.
I was wondering for a second because I thought you had a wireless headset. I'm like, "Oh no."
No, I got a
I'm like,
little.
"No, size wireless or whatever." But
They are wireless, but I find that when I plug them
dude,
in,
dude,
just
all my stuff is wired in just for like latency and like for dedicated connections.
yeah,
I prefer the wires, but
yeah, and I don't want to like have them die. Like this way, I don't have to have them
yeah,
charged up.
we're not up playing Wii or anything or running around. But yeah, I got all my stuff hardwired for
Yeah.
sure.
Just rocking the Beats by Dre headphones.
That's what they are.
Yup,
Hmm.
they work
I
well.
went through many headsets in my day, for sure.
Oh yeah. All right, brother. Well, what do you think? I think we did a damn fine job tonight.
It
We
was
we hit
good.
a hour and 40 minutes here running
Nice.
time. So those of you that are rocking with us, we thank you for joining us on the podcast. The other ones we do it for. We hope everyone is enjoying it. Again, comment on the topics that we're discovering and other things that you'd like us to talk about in the future. We are open for suggestions. Also, don't forget to check out Justin's Twitch stream when he'll be on there. And like I said, link will be down in the description of the show below. But until next time, this is the Misunderstood Podcast. I'm Cy Hansen. This is Justin Webb. Justin, great job tonight, buddy.
Thanks, man. Thanks, guys.
The Alfred to my Batman, the man behind the scenes, doing a
We got
great
her
job.
done.
We appreciate you, man. Until next time, everyone, this has been Misunderstood.